And the only way, the only exit ticket we have is the vaccine.
A part of widespread vaccine programs, no one is safe.
Recently gone through the process of contracting this coronavirus.
You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
The Queen of Denmark has tested positive to COVID shortly after attending Queen Elizabeth's funeral in London. It's the second positive diagnosis for Queen Margrethe, who also contracted the virus in February, despite 3 vaccines for COVID.
95% effectiveness.
2 doses of this vaccine is the greatest protection that you can have.
Prime Minister Scott Morrison has revealed he's tested positive to COVID.
I've taken a test that has come out positive.
You deserve the freedom to be safe from COVID-19.
This would be the second time the Prime Minister has tested positive.
So I want to tell you today that thanks to vaccines, the end of this crisis is on the horizon. More than 8.5 million of you have already had a first injection. 3 million have already had 2 injections. And the vaccine is efficient.
Buckingham Palace has confirmed that the Queen has today tested positive for COVID-19.
The Swedish royals are among the latest victims of COVID-19. The Swedish royal courts confirmed that Gustaf of Sweden, King Carl XVI and his wife Queen Sylvia have tested positive for the coronavirus.
He has tested positive for COVID. This would be the second time the Prime Minister has tested positive.
You're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations. Hey folks, guess you heard this morning I tested positive for COVID.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has tested positive for COVID.
CEO of Pfizer, Albert Bourla,
just tweeting out that he has tested positive for COVID.
Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren just announcing she in fact has tested positive for COVID.
It's what we found out yesterday when one of my colleagues asked if they tested, in this case Pfizer, if Pfizer tested, if their medical product is stopping the spread of the virus. We were shocked to find out yesterday that they haven't tested their vaccine to see if it's stopping the spread of the virus.
the people who are not getting vaccines, who are believing the lies on the internet instead of science, it's time to start shaming them.
I wouldn't want to be in the room with lots of people who aren't vaccinated.
The risk posed to all of us by unvaccinated people get angry.
Sont extrémistes. Qui croient pas dans la science, qui sont souvent misogynes, souvent racistes.
Folks supposed to have common sense, but it's time to start blaming the unvaccinated folks.
But don't think you can get on a plane or a train besides vaccinated people and put them at risk.
Because frankly, we know that we can't trust the unvaccinated.
The unvaccinated overcrowd our hospital.
Unvaccinated will be banned from seeing their own sick children in the state's hospitals. And people have had time, you know. Yeah. I mean, really.
He says, the unvaccinated, I really want to piss them off. And so we're going to continue doing so until the end.
And with new restrictions coming in a number of European countries, we've seen protests in Belgium, Austria, Italy, the Netherlands, Switzerland and Croatia. Once again, we're seeing the tension between public health measures and what some people see as a constraint on their personal freedoms. Well, let's begin in Austria. Tens of thousands of people protested in the capital, Vienna, in response to this new lockdown and in response to plans that will make vaccination a legal requirement.
Germany has announced major restrictions on anyone who's not vaccinated against COVID-19.
The government has announced a ban on the unvaccinated entering bars, restaurants and non-essential shops.
Anger boils over in Melbourne. These protesters want their freedoms back. The city is in its 6th lockdown. Now the restrictions have been extended to the entire state.
Frustration is also mounting in Sydney. Despite being more or less shut down for 8 weeks, the majority of Australia's coronavirus cases are being recorded there.
The South Korean government's plan to introduce a COVID vaccine pass and restrict the access of unvaccinated people to restaurants and bars has sparked a huge debate here in Korea.
And then there were women who identified themselves to us as concerned moms.
We shouldn't be told that we're going to lose our jobs, that we're going to lose our freedoms, that our children aren't going to be able to go to school.
Demonstrators were loud and deliberate in their message Monday at Grand Park in downtown Los Angeles. They will not be forced to vaccinate against COVID-19. Thousands descended on the park in the shadow of LA City Hall carrying signs with defiant slogans like "I'm not a lab rat" and "I will not comply," and waving American flags. The protest, dubbed the March for Freedom, drew people from all walks of life. But especially passionate were people who worked for the city of Los Angeles as they faced down a December 18th deadline to vaccinate or potentially lose their jobs.
It's cool that they give stuff out to you if you take the shot. I mean, there's free ice cream out there, and I'm definitely going to get ice cream after this 15 minutes is over.
Dude, let's go.
So the ice cream is definitely the most popular part of this clinic.
Free ice cream and a Disney movie for children who get their jabs.
This vaccine and its effectiveness. And I want to assure people that it's a safe thing to do. And if everybody will take the vaccine voluntarily, we'll have a good, strong immunity, and that'll stop this COVID-19.
Well, this map shows confirmed cases per million people over 2 weeks starting in March 2020. The darker the colour, the more infections. As you can see, Australia was looking good back then, but fast forward to a month ago and it's a different story. We are fast becoming one of the worst places in the world for new COVID cases.
So it means that even if you are fully vaccinated, you still get infected. You become what we call as an asymptomatic carrier of the virus, and you may have the same viral load as somebody who's not vaccinated. We have data now to show that some vaccines actually induce what we call myocarditis, which is really an inflammation in the epithelial cells, these cells in the heart, and really makes the heart really sick.
Epidemi, hvor vi har brug for vaccinerne, og hvor valget.
He wants to attack, but you've got to be careful. He collapsed. He collapsed.
We have a player down.
Courts. Breaking new details on the deaths of a high school soccer player.
Finland, Denmark's star man Christian Eriksen collapsing towards the end of the first half.
The Kennedy High community mourning tonight after one of their high school football players died.
A South Carolina high school football player has died after collapsing at football practice.
Star college basketball player collapsing on the court. We want to warn you, the video may be difficult to watch.
Florida Gators star Keontae Johnson collapsing during the game.
A West Catholic high school student has died after collapsing during a football scrimmage.
On mile 8, she suddenly felt fuzzy and blacked out.
17-year-old Ryan Jacobs' heart stopped.
Unexpectedly collapsed on the field.
Megan went into cardiac arrest.
Collapsing during Friday night's football game.
The reason for his collapse is unknown.
The reason why Manny collapsed in the first place still isn't known.
So
So you might be wondering how someone in such great shape could suffer cardiac arrest.
It's a rare thing that happens.
The coroner says the condition is rare.
It's just one of those tragedies.
Did she have any signs before this race?
Absolutely not. She felt like she was in the best shape of her life.
That's incredible.